Hi, Wayne.
Hi there.
Obviously, I said your name. Wayne is my guest today, and I wanted him to share a story about Irlen Syndrome and how it's affected his life and what he's discovered as a result of getting his Irlen filters. So, Wayne, tell us a little bit about what you do at work.
Okay, so I am what's called a system operator at Puget Sound Energy. What I do has roughly the same stress level as an air traffic controller. I control the flow of power throughout the state, and if I make a mistake, people die. So it really is kind of a life or death thing. I have to make snap decisions quickly and safely in order to keep the field workers as safe as possible while trying to restore as many customers to power during an outage. So that's really what my job is. Looking at maps and screens. So I'm surrounded by as many as six 32-inch monitors at all times. So I'm constantly, my eyes are darting back and forth between those different screens. I've also got a very large physical map that's actually covers our walls. And so I will actually also be kind of standing up from my desk, looking over, surveying that map, sitting back down, back to the screens as I try to log all the information and make the decisions that are necessary.
Okay. How long is your day? Is it a pretty much typical 8-hour day, or is it more like a 12, 14-hour day?
Yeah, so we work typically 12-hour days. There's plenty of, opportunities for overtime as people take vacations or are out sick or that kind of thing. But our usual operation is 12 hours at a time. We do work swing shifts. So you'll work a couple of nights in a row, then have a day or two off, and then a couple of days in a row. So those shifts are either 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then during a storm, we can work upwards of 36, even 48 hours straight if, there's really massive amounts of outages. Yeah,
pretty stressful and strenuous. So tell me how you discovered that you had Irlen Syndrome. Tell me that story.
Yeah, so I actually met you through one of my financial advisors. He had kind of a demonstration where you kind of came up during one of his workshops and talked a little bit about Irlen Syndrome, and I honestly wasn't really paying a lot of attention to it. I was like, this doesn't really apply to me. My eyes are fine. I've had them checked a million times until you hit the keyword of headaches. So I have had a continuous headache since I turned about 15 years old. Like people say they have headaches. I had one headache that just never went away. We tried all kinds of tests, EKG, MRI, sleep studies, even just straight narcotics would not make this headache go away. So we could not figure out what it was. After years of testing, I pretty much had kind of given up on figuring out why. I just had this odd headache of mine. It made it very difficult to study things. I'd have to read things 3-4 times, which up until that point, I'd never had that problem. I had actually been tested as being like gifted. I could read something once, memorize it, be ready to go. So it really held me back scholastically. I didn't go to college. I didn't want to because it just was so hard to book study things. And luckily I found the career that I did. But yeah, it really was this kind of huge crossroads in my life where, this kid that would sit there and would rather read than play games, I no longer wanted to read. I almost abandoned it as a skill or even as something that was fun for me. So that perked my interest. So I went ahead and, had the screening with you and found out that yes, indeed it was Irlen Syndrome.
Yeah, and I made a note of some of the distortions that you were having on the page. You were seeing a flickering and this rainbow effect.
Yeah, so it's something where you kind of don't realize it's even happening. It's natural to you. So you just sort of think maybe everybody has this problem, or, it's hard to pinpoint until you're really looking for it. And you have someone like yourself guiding you with, keywords that then kind of, oh yes, this is what's happening to me. So for me, as I read something, the white space in between letters or numbers on a page, there was this almost like wavy shimmer and rainbow to it, and it would distract me. So as I'm trying to read and concentrate, my eyes are darting back up to this corner, and then I come back and have to find my spot, and then I dart over here because I keep seeing movement. It's distracting me constantly. And The worst was the pumpkin. There's a picture you have that's like a pumpkin.
Yeah.
That was the one where I finally was able to, like, for me, pinpoint exactly what was going on. And that, I mean, that I almost get chills with how powerful that image was to me of it really affecting my eyesight.
Was that happening to you at work? Did you make a connection there?
The screens, I've been a gamer my whole life, so I've always been able to sort of ignore the eye stress from screens, really. So the actual screens didn't necessarily bother me unless it was something like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet where you have a ton of that white on black.
Right.
And I figure it was doing the same thing to me there too.
Right. Exactly. So what are you noticing as a result of getting your filter? So you've got spectral filters that are normalizing the wavelengths of light that are causing these distortions and these headaches. So how are your headaches?
Gone. They are gone. It's completely gone. It's the craziest feeling for me because it was this thing where literally, like, if you put on like a baseball cap, everywhere the cap touches, that kind of crown and cap of your skull, that radiated this, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 4 or 5 headache. Wow. Just 24/7. It caused me, it was hard to fall asleep at night. There's all kinds of issues. To have that gone is a revelation. It's allowed me to study more. I'm now actually the lead trainer at work. So I'm now having to review all these documents and spreadsheets and things like that to help train the next generation of operator. And it's affording me the abilities that I could not do what I'm doing now without them. Wow. In fact, we actually just recently, I had to get my filters checked and redone. And so we took the opportunity to do it as we went on vacation. We went to Disney World, which was a lot of fun. But by the time we had gotten back, we were just gone for about a week. By the time we had gotten back, I had started feeling it again. And even, my coworkers and my friends and my parents were commenting on how agitated I was. I was much more, like, snappy at work, much more, ornery, easily upset, just because that headache, which I learned to live with, I wasn't used to anymore. And so it was bugging me, again. So, yeah. And now that I've got them back, literally within a day of having them back, it's gone.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing, because is that true, that ability versus performance gap? You get it, but performing at those certain levels, which is really important for people to pay attention to. It's not that you couldn't read or didn't know how to read, just accessing the information. Number one, the headaches were preventing you, let alone those things happening on the page, which is really important for people to understand.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where, I've never been a fast reader. I've never been that person that can skim a page. Unfortunately, I think I'm just a bit too more detail oriented for that, but I can retain it, really well. And that ability, I lost that ability, and it's so nice to have it back. It really is. Excellent.
Well, thank you so much. So our listeners today, if this sounds like you or somebody that you think might be suffering from this hidden disability, we would call it, right? And you need to do a little more research there, but go to my website at irlenservices.com and locate me, or you can schedule a time at schedulewithterry.com for a 15-minute short little consultation to see if this is something that might help transform your life, like it has with Wayne. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Wayne.
I thank you, and I'd seriously urge you to just at least give it a shot and at least rule something out.
Right. Exactly. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.